Hello everyone, it's Sybil Starr, and I am here to give the astrology forecast for the Cancer new moon, which is June 28th at 7:53 p.m. Pacific time. It's on the 29th at some places in Europe and other places around the world, and it is at 7 degrees of Cancer. So the sun and moon are both in Cancer. So, Cancer is the first water sign. And water is so important right now. Cancer is really the waters of the world, all the different waters, of the fresh water, the sea water. And as the water is just so out of balance in our world. We're having a terrible drought in the West and then flooding in other places, and some places are having both, like in Yellowstone in the midst of a big drought as well as a huge flood. So, the water is out of balance, and water is the blood of Mother Earth. And so she is showing us that our waters need help. They need some attention. We are out of balance there. And it's important to remember that our bodies are 60% water. Water is life. Life was first happened here on Mother Earth in the water. And so it's just important to remember just how sacred the water is. And during these times of really repairing our relationship with water, because water has memory. And when we tell the water we love the water, we say thank you to the water when we drink it. The water remembers, and it really does help the water when we do that. And the indigenous people, many indigenous people would pray with their feet in the water because of the fact not only does water have memory, but it carries sound. So that's just really important to remember. Now, the Cancer is ruled by the moon, and the moon is the archetype of the Great Mother, and it represents our emotional body where the soul memories lie. It's our inner life, how we nurture and care for ourselves. It's the most intimate parts of ourselves. It's who we are when we relax and let go of our inhibitions. And the moon is very much about emotional safety, regardless of what sign the Cancer is in what sign the moon is in. It's always about emotional safety and how we go about attaining that. It also represents the more unconscious parts of ourselves. And they say the moon herself, the core is water. And the movement, we know how the movement of the moon impacts the tides and the waters, as well as the waters in our body. I didn't know this until fairly recently, that when the moon is growing, when we say it's waxing, we carry more fluid in our body. Once the moon becomes full and starts waning, then we start losing some of that water. So we really are, all the waters of the world respond to the moon. And so what is Cancer? So the archetype of Cancer is also the mother, and it's the unconditional love of the universe. Cancer is very much a sign of feeling. The goal of Cancer is to feel every nuance of life. It's about turning inward, and it's about love. It's really about matters of the heart, home and family. But ourselves are part of that. Cancer is the sign that is really learning not only love of others, but self-love. Because Cancer has a tendency, Cancer energy, those with Cancer and Cancer energy can often hide behind being a caretaker, being the mother, taking care of others, and not getting one's own needs met. And so it's really important to be aware of that. Some of the common characteristics of Cancer are being sensitive, intuitive, imaginative, moody, cautious. Cancer energy can be very defensive. The ancient symbol for Cancer is the turtle. And you know how the turtle has a soft soft heart, a soft inner core, but a hard shell. And so it's kind of that defensiveness. And when the turtle wants to protect itself, it withdraws inside its shell. And Cancer can energy can do that very easily with withdraw, and to be able to take care of yourselves, and that's important. But it's also important to stay out of the shell as much as possible, because it's very important to be able to walk in the world with our hearts open, and especially in these times of great change. Um, it's just really important. And so this Cancer new moon is very much about the nurturance of all life, uh, walking through the world with our hearts open, about loving love of self, and feeling our way through this month. It's also about our connection to the Great Mother, and to remember that we are always held in the arms of love. And it does require trust and connection to our guides in the spirit world to travel this terrain. Cancer really asks us to trust and listen to our inner guidance, and remember that we are never alone. Cancer is a time when we are most connected to, one of the times we're most connected to the Great Mother. Great Mother Isis, her star of Sirius is at 14 degrees of Cancer. And of course, the shadow of Cancer is making choices made out of safety. And, the truth is that there is no safety outside of ourselves. It comes from within. And as we move through these challenging times, it's so important to remember that and to stay connected to the Mother and to the invisible forces of life, because they are every bit as real as the material world, and they are helping and guiding us through these times. This new moon is in a square to Jupiter, and Jupiter expands everything it touches, but it also inspires self-confidence and a belief in self. Jupiter is in Aries, and so on one hand, the emotional field can be highly expansive, but it can also be incredibly optimistic, and having faith and trust in the universe and in ourselves, and that we are up to the tasks that are in front of us. And it's also about taking risks. Cancer, has a tendency, like I said, to make choices, made out of safety and being cautious, very cautious. When Jupiter but opens the door, it's like opportunity may come, but it will come from taking a risk. Now, there's another really big and important aspect going on right now, and that is Mars square Pluto. Now, Mars is the ruler of Aries, and Mars is in its own sign. And so it makes it incredibly powerful. It's very much the planet of action. It's the warrior energy. It's it brings up conflict, and the conflict that we need to be able to confront, to make progress, to do what we need to do. And it's in a square to Pluto, which is, god of the underworld. And Pluto's actually the higher octave of Mars, as they say. And when these two planets dance together, it's the energy that can move mountains. The key is, so it's like when you set your mind to something during this time, you can make it happen, especially if you're willing to take that Jupiterian risk. The key is to make sure it's the mountain that you want to move. Is this what you really want to do? Because unconscious motivations may be what's actually driving this action. So it's really important to get clear, because ultimately it's about aligning our will with divine will. What is really in your highest good? But also combined with this Jupiter, it really is time to go for it. Once you get really clear that yes, this is what needs to happen. It's kind of like doors will just really open. They'll just fly open. Okay. And so but the shadow side of this aspect is that there is a feeling of a need to protect oneself and others. There could be power struggles, and it's very much the collective shadow around anger and aggression can certainly come up. So it's so important to be aware of our own anger and our own and how we deal with conflict during this time, because the field is very thick with it. And it I read this quote and it just really resonated with this Mars-Pluto square, especially in this time of a Cancer new moon. It says it takes a tremendous amount of spiritual and emotional maturity to witness in full force the collective shadow of humanity and keep your heart open. It's just so important to know, love transmutes fear. And that is what is rising, the collective shadow. As this new world is coming, the old really is collapsing. We can know it. I mean, we've got this huge inflation. We've got all of the different structures that we've created in our world are just really not supporting us anymore. And so as it does, as it is all getting shook up, this the underbelly is rising, and the key is to keep your heart open and to let the energy move through you, is to not attach yourself to the drama of what is happening. Stay connected and listening to your inner guidance. Okay. Now, Uranus is also conjunct the North Node. The North Node is the way forward. Uranus and the North Node are both in Taurus. And I should have said Pluto, the Mars-Pluto square. Mars is at 25 degrees of Aries, and Pluto is at 27 degrees of Capricorn. Anyway, back to the Uranus conjunct the North Node. Now, the North Node and Saturn have been traveling together. Well, now Uranus, because the North Node moves backwards. And so Uranus and the North Node are within 5 degrees of each other. The North Node is at 21 degrees of Taurus, and Uranus is at 17 degrees of Taurus. And so they're coming together, and conjunctions are the most powerful of all aspects. And so Uranus is the planetary energy that brings change. It's always about change. And also Uranus is getting ready to come again into a square with Saturn in the fall. They're starting to approach their final and last square. And it's really intense, and the nodes of the moon are involved. And Uranus takes us into new territory, unexplored territory. And Saturn likes everything to be status quo. Saturn has been squaring the nodes, and like I said, coming into this square with Uranus. Saturn does not like change. And so this is it's kind of the potential for a huge breakthrough. But the Uranus conjunct the North Node, I believe, is also saying it's a time when our own genius is activated. That is what is taking us forward, is to be open to these new changes, to release any resistance we have to what's coming, and to allow the new ideas and to, this new territory to unfold. And the truth of it is, Saturn and Uranus coming together in a square, including the nodes, is also about manifestation, working in the quantum field to create what you want. This is an aspect that is bringing light into form and making our future, bringing it into our consciousness, maybe some new ideas we hadn't thought about. Now, this aspect is actually going on for several months, not just at this new moon. I just want to say that. So it is bringing in new ideas and downloads from the universe. Surprising changes may be happening. And Saturn square the nodes is telling us that a course correction needs to happen. And so I feel like what this course correction is about is, well, like I said, it's with all this change involved, it's changing circumstances and unexpected synchronicities. And so be paying attention. And this time is like navigating the rapids. It's like with things constantly changing, having to kind of change that course direction to see, which way you need to, move your vehicle, or it's navigating the rapids, but it's energy. It's energetic rapids, and things are moving quickly and they're changing quickly. And just because things were one way at this moment doesn't mean they're going to be there the next. And so, how do you move through this energy? And of course, Taurus is very much about being in the present moment, because that's really the truth of all we ever really have is the present moment. We have the past that is no longer, and we have the future that isn't here, and the present is what creates our future. And so it's being in that present moment, being present in your body, aware, and know that we are actually, if you can use that analogy of traveling the energetic rapids, and that you need to be flexible and not stuck to just one pattern. Because the thing is, as I said too, it's also bringing up, the fear of change, and we may have resistance to what actually that little voice inside of us is telling. Uranus is very much connected to the divine mind, and so downloads happen, and our intuition is just really strong. But are we going to listen to it? That's the key. And to realize that the consciousness of Mother Earth is guiding us. And we need to be in the present moment to hear that inner voice, that inner guidance, and recognize the path and the synchronicities as they unfold. There's another really wonderful saying that I really believe is true, and it says, when you start on the path unfolds. This is the way it works. And so we're on a path that is a winding path. It's not a straight path, and being able to make the twists and turns as it is happening. But the other key, like I said, is taking that risk, is stepping on the path. And so just to conclude, as we move through this new uncharted territory to create the world we want, we must keep our hearts open. For love transmutes the fear, so we must meet it with our hearts and remember that we are going through great shifts in consciousness, and that love is the only way. There is no other way. This is how we move through the world and create a new world. All right. Well, thank you all so much, and once you have a wonderful month. And if you like this video, please check subscribe. And if you would like to contact me for a reading or whatever, I do have many different services. I will have my information in the description box below. All right, thank you.